Shalom. I'm Rav Zephaniyah. The coronavirus. Many people are scared when they think about such a disease that could get out of control. When we read in the Bible that sickness, disease, and plagues are often related to divine judgments or demonic activity, what does the modern mind do? It cringes. When a plague erupts, we resort to naturalistic explanations, and we ignore that plagues throughout the Bible are directly related to spiritual causes. Make no mistake, the loss of life to a horrific plague is a tragedy that warrants a compassionate response. But at the same time, we cannot ignore that there are spiritual issues going on behind the scenes. God has so balanced this world that He has made human free choice a priority. Free will and moral responsibility is such a divine priority that most events can be explained by naturalism, by materialistic causes, rather than taking into account the realm of the Spirit. Yet, as we see in the Genesis flood, to the many plagues mentioned in the Older Testament, all the way down through the book of Revelation in the Newer Testament, there is always a spiritual explanation behind events and catastrophes. The atheist and agnostic will quickly state that it's because primitive man was attempting to make sense of the world around them, but they were still confined to superstitions and ignorance. But the person of faith, the believer in the God of the Bible, they have to take a different approach. Exodus 15:26 says, "And Yah said, if you hear and obey seriously the voice of Yah your God, and you do what is right in His eyes, and if you give ear to hear His commandments, and you guard all of His decrees, I will place none of the diseases upon you which I put upon the Egyptians, for I, Yah, am your healer." Deuteronomy 28:20 through 21, when prophesying a future time in Israel's history when they would be disobedient, when they would become unjust, when they would oppress the widow, when they would call good evil and evil good and worship false things, a prophesied judgment is given. Yah will send upon you the curses, the confusion, and the rebuke against all that you apply your hand to do, until you're destroyed, until you quickly perish, because of the evil of your deeds, because you have forsaken me. Yah will make the plague cling to you until you perish from the land which you're entering to possess. The believer in the God of the Bible should realize that spiritual conflict is the cause of much that befalls us. It can be direct judgment against us, or it can be from the adversary to thwart our blessings. In Ephesians 6:12, the Apostle Paul tells us that our actual battle, the wrestling in which we're engaged, does not stem from the physical world. Our struggle is not against humans. It's not against blood and flesh. According to Scripture, the spiritual world is the world of causes. Our physical world is where those causes come into effect. They become visible to our senses. There are spiritual authorities and powers that are behind what is taking place in our physical world, and they're very active. Throughout the Bible, plagues and diseases are mentioned in the context of the realm of the Spirit manifesting as events in our physical world. God promises to keep the obedient Israelites from plague and disease if they keep His word. Today, we rarely assume a spiritual understanding of the events that are going around us. We do not correlate spiritual and physical worlds together. In fact, we live quite fragmented lives, compartmentalizing everything. Psalm 91 speaks directly about pestilence, plagues, and diseases, and God's ability to protect the righteous amidst such tragic events. Today, believers in China are mobilizing to speak the truth about life with God, even in the very streets of Wuhan, where the outbreak of the coronavirus is taking place. The Communist Party has taken note, and they've seized the masks and other materials that were being distributed by these God-fearing Chinese. Let us keep these people in our prayers. And let us take a compassionate view of such disasters, while still holding firm to the biblical worldview. Spiritual forces are behind physical manifestations.